All right, let's jump right into this explainer and look at how the exact perspective a story is told from literally shapes your entire experience. We usually just think of reading a book or playing a game as absorbing words or mashing buttons, but there's actually a hidden architecture holding every single narrative together. And today, we're unpacking point of view, or POV.
To kick things off, the easiest way to understand POV is to think of it exactly like a director choosing a camera lens for a movie scene. It dictates what you, the audience, are allowed to perceive. It sets the ground rules. Who's talking? What do they actually know? And, maybe more importantly, what are they hiding from you?
And that really brings us to our core metaphor for today. We're going to compare literary pronouns to modern camera tech, things like GoPros, flying drones, and VR headsets. Because honestly, just by swapping out a tiny word, like going from I to he or you, a writer or a game designer completely changes the narrative lens. It totally alters how close you are to the action.
Okay, Section 1, the traditional viewpoints: drones, shoulders, and GoPros. Let's get into it.
We'll start with the highest, most detached lens we have, which is third-person omniscient. I like to think of this as the drone angle. So the narrator is using pronouns like he, she, and they, but the key thing here is that the camera is floating way up high above the story. It's all-knowing. It can peer right through the roof into the minds of all the characters at the exact same time. You're basically getting this godlike view of the entire playing field, so you know everyone's secrets and motivations right off the bat. Now, let's bring that drone down to earth for a second. This is third-person limited. We're still using he, she, or they, but here we apply what we call the Martin the dog rule. Just imagine tying a camera to a dog's collar. The camera is technically outside the dog, following closely right behind him, but it is strictly limited to seeing only what the dog sees. So you're tethered to just one specific character's thoughts and feelings.
The absolute most crucial point here is the limitation. Take a look at this line. Leo crept down the hallway, terrified. Because our camera is hovering right over Leo's shoulder, we know for a fact he's scared. But think about what we're completely blind to. We have absolutely no idea what his little sister's thinking downstairs, or worse, what's waiting to jump out from behind that door. The suspense in this POV comes entirely from what your specific lens cannot see.
Getting even closer, we drop the he and she completely and move into first-person POV. This lens essentially straps a GoPro directly to a character's head. We are now trapped entirely within their specific thoughts and adrenaline rushes, experiencing the world exclusively through pronouns like I, me, we, and my. You are literally inside the character. Notice how just changing the name Leo to the pronoun I makes the whole experience so much more subjective and intense. I had no idea what was behind the door. The camera is stuck inside the narrator's head. If they don't know what's in the dark room, you don't know what's in the dark room. You are sharing their exact blind spots and their exact heartbeat. Moving on to Section 2, the Mystery Box Challenge. Let's test out these lenses.
Picture this. You are the director of a thrilling mystery. You've got this chained up, locked box on screen, and you have to make a massive choice about where to place your narrative camera. Your one and only goal is to hide the secret inside this box from the audience until the very final act of the story.
So here is the challenge. Which POV would you absolutely not want to use for the specific character who is secretly keeping this box hidden? Think back to the lenses we just covered. Which one instantly breaks the mystery? Take a second. What do you think? Well, if you guessed first person, you hit the nail on the head. You just can't strap a GoPro to a character's brain, give them the pronoun I, and then somehow try to hide their own thoughts and secrets from the audience who is actively reading those exact thoughts. If the narrator knows the secret, the reader knows it instantly. It's a great example of why creators have to be so incredibly strategic about the lenses they choose. All right, Section 3, the VR angle. Enter the second person. So while first person lets you safely watch someone else's eye experience from behind a screen, second person is way more aggressive. It violently shoves the camera right onto your face. By swapping out those pronouns for you and yours, the writer completely removes the traditional narrator and makes you the star of the show. Best way to think about this? It's like putting on a virtual reality headset. The voice of the story isn't just talking about a character, it's speaking directly to you. It transforms you from a passive observer just chilling on the couch into an active participant standing right in the middle of the room. It demands your presence. Just listen to how much this changes the game. You walk into the dark hallway. Your heart starts pounding as you reach for the doorknob. The author is entirely eliminating that safe barrier between the page and the reader. It's not Leo's heart anymore. It's not some narrator's heart. It is absolutely intended to be your heart pounding.
Which brings us to Section 4, Why Games Need You, and the Power of Agency.
Now you might be wondering, why is this super immersive VR lens almost totally missing from traditional novels, but forms the absolute backbone of video games? Well, it all comes down to user agency. Think about it. In a passive, traditional book, if the author dictates, you jump off the cliff, your brain instinctively rejects it. You sit there thinking, no way, I definitely wouldn't do that, I'm terrified of heights. It creates this weird disconnect that gets pretty exhausting to read for 300 pages. But in a video game, when you literally have a controller in your hand, second person totally thrives. When the game prompts you to press X to jump, you are actually the one making the choice. The physical agency matches the pronoun perfectly. The you works because the action actually requires your physical input, which creates this perfect, seamless marriage of text and interactivity.
So as we can see here, every camera angle really does serve a distinct purpose. Third-person omniscience plays God, third-person limited follows closely, and first-person traps you inside someone else's mind. But second-person, especially when we talk about gaming, is uniquely powerful. It's the only lens where the knowledge, the actions, and the consequences belong entirely to you. It shifts the whole paradigm of storytelling from something you just consume to something you actually do.
To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick question to test your empathy and really see how well you grasp these narrative lenses. Think of your absolute favorite story right now. Do you have it? Okay. Now, how would flipping the camera angle entirely away from the hero and strapping a first-person GoPro directly onto the villain's head fundamentally change that entire narrative? If we saw their blind spots and felt their heartbeat, would they even still be the villain? It's pretty amazing what a simple shift in a camera angle can pull off. Definitely keep that in mind the next time you pick up a book or a controller.